If you look at the contents of a cell, there's much more inside a cell than just the nucleus and the membrane. There are organelles, the cytoplasm of the cell, sort of the part that's not the nucleus, between the nucleus and the membrane, is very densely packed with different proteins, with different organelles, with different parts of the cell. It's almost like a gel more than sort of a liquid, because it is so dense of different components.
So cells are really complex structures where they've got these different organelles that function together to produce products. And this is almost like a factory. So if you think about it, the cell membrane's a bit like the factory gates, where who comes in and who goes out is monitored and controlled. Then you've got the nucleus, that's a bit like the big boss in the cell, and the nucleus controls all the main activities. And then you've got the endoplasmic reticulum, that's a bit like the assembly line within a factory. So that's where all the products sort of move through. And then you've got things like the mitochondria that are like the energy generating hubs within the cells. And so all these organelles sort of come together to allow the cell to make these products and then to keep the unit going.
In any organ, you have a constant rate of cells. In a grown organism, if we again take the skin as an example, the number of cells that are within this organ, within the skin, from at any given time point remains more or less the same. In cancer, what happens is that this sort of balance is compromised, and then you get overproduction of cells, or cells grow where they usually would not grow, and then this this overgrowth of cells leads to the formation of a tumor. What can then happen is that the cells, tumor cells, leave the area where they originally were and sort of spread throughout the body, which then leads to very disastrous consequences.
In order to prevent damage to your cells, and in particular to our DNA, what we can do is make little lifestyle changes. So things like not smoking, avoiding certain types of foods that are that potentially increase the risk of developing some sort of cancer, sort of like red meat. Has been shown to potentially increase the risk of bowel cancer, and then avoiding prolonged exposure to sunlight might also be able to help us prevent damage to our DNA.
DNA stores the genetic information, so that basically contains information for everything any cell in an organism would need to function properly. So that information is very important to the functions of a cell, which is why it needs protecting.